I know nothing, and that's okay. This is going to be short and sweet, but necessary because I've come to a realization recently that might have just come with time that in the grand scheme of things, I truly know nothing. Everything outside of my own personal inner circle and the things I interact with every day, I truly don't know much and don't know the inner workings of things. At first, I felt anxious and worried when I really sat there and thought about this concept because I've talked to a lot of people in my life, like all of you have, and I wondered, there's probably been a lot of times where I've talked to you and shit, I didn't know what I was talking about, or I misguided somebody, or I misinformed somebody, and that thought really stuck with me because I understood that you know things a majority of the time through other people. And a lot of people just kind of have blind trust if a person hasn't made it seem otherwise. And because a person might have blind trust in me, they might still be thinking something I said years ago is true and factual when in fact it is not. And I thought about it and I understood that trusting people is important and having a circle that you trust is even more important. But nothing will beat something that I feel like nobody is exuding today anymore, which is critical thinking. You could have your favorite person tell you something. And of course, because it's your favorite person, you are inclined to believe them and just assume that what they are saying does not need to be challenged. And for a lot of things, that's going to be a reality. Honestly, like your favorite person is your favorite person. I'm not telling you to get rid of all your bias because your bias kind of makes up who you are at the end of the day. But what I am saying is that in certain times and in certain subjects, you need to sit there and really think about it without influence on your own. And if you feel like anything is off, you also need to research on your own at multiple levels of it. Multiple sources, multiple things need to be going through your mind. The bigger part of all this is to stay humble. It is so easy to think you know everything. It is easier to get defensive when someone challenges whether or not you know something. And that's nice in the moment, but it's gonna lead you nowhere. Taking an interest and understanding that you are such a small part of the world that revolves around you, shout out Deltarune, is essential to making sure you keep growing as a person and never staying stuck. And it's very ironic that I am saying all this because, like I said, I know nothing, but that's okay. This is not meant to be a lesson and more so a wake up call. Whatever stage of life you are in the moment, or context or situation is going to be different than the next person. It's going to be different from me. It's going to be different from them, him, her. That's why you need to take what you feel is necessary out of the things you consume. I've recently come to this realization as well because I've been consuming a lot of things outside of my own circle and comfort zone. And previous thoughts and stances that I've had have been challenged and moved and erased in some circumstances because I simply didn't have the knowledge. I simply didn't know. The books were not being read. I mean, I'm dyslexic, so what can you do about that? But the videos weren't being watched. The research wasn't being done. And I fully understood that so many people will be content with living their lives in their own bubble, knowing what they know, and not challenging themselves further. And that sucks. It does. Because it doesn't need to be overwhelming. It doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to be extra if you make it a part of your everyday life. And more importantly, you make that a part of yourself. It doesn't need to feel like you're doing more if wanting to be the best person you can be is part of yourself. And I mean, why should you listen to me though? Because I know nothing. And I'm saying that a little sarcastically. I mean, listen, life is full of nuances. And I often struggle when I make these videos because I'm saying something and I agree with it, but I have the awareness in my head to understand that it does not apply to everybody and it should not apply to everything. But a lot of different reasons might happen for someone to take it at face value and literally not to think on a multi-plane view. Earlier when I mentioned your biases and they make up who you are, it's true. And you should be proud of some of the things that you are biased towards, but you often need to let go of others to truly have a reasonable progression in conversation with people. Knowing who you are and knowing where you give in and where you stand your ground is extremely important. But knowing is even more. I'm glad that I set myself up in a way, at least for this channel, to have it be positioned for whoever is listening to think amongst themselves. And I will keep repeating it. It will get old for the people who watch everything. But you really need to take what I am saying and think amongst yourself. Your own experiences shape who you are, and I could be completely disagreed with from your perspective, and that's okay. Because the subject matter that I am talking about might have sparked something else in you. Critical thinking and self-reliance, self-reflection is what I am trying to achieve, not just with you, but with myself. It's not just relying on your own thoughts and opinions and experiences, but also learning to take criticism from people who have vastly different experiences from you. It's never fun to hear that something you made, said, or believe in is wrong, or that in itself is being challenged. And while a lot of the time you will not change or agree with the person, it's important to have that moment of, is there any validity in what they're saying, whether they intend it to be or not? Engaging with pushback is how you make sure you stay grounded and that you understand that your experience is not the only one. And I think that's a beautiful thing. The more you expose yourself to things, the more you will have the innate skill of making up your own decisions and making up your own opinions. In an age where you can look at something and fuck looking at a video, in an age where you can see a title and a subject matter of video, scroll down and read the comments to make your own opinion about it, it is so easy to be influenced. And while you cannot get rid of all the influences in your life, you need to make sure that you are the biggest influence on yourself, your opinions, your subject matter, and your thoughts. That's pretty much it, man. I just kind of thought about the fact that I do not know anything. But look, it's okay, because not knowing that, Hold on. Because knowing that I don't know is more than people not knowing they don't know ever. You know what? Fuck it, man. Let's just, oh my. And like my friend Orville once said, I think those birds are dead, man. I think they're dead. Good luck.